Number 3, the next question here is number 4. We have, it's saying here, what is the square root of 64? So give me a second here. So see here, what is the square root? Square root of 64. And again, what we can do is when we talk about this concept of square root, it's this guy here. 64 is going to be inside the bracket here. So it's asking us what is the square root of 64. So you can either do this in 2 ways. If you kind of like inspect it, you can kind of solve this question here, or you can use again prime factorization to solve this question here, right? So if I were to use kind of inspection here, I know 64 here. If I think back to my perfect squares here, you can think back to 2 times 2 is 4. You can think of 3 times 3 equals 9, so on and so forth. And the moment we get to like 8 times 8 here, this will equal 64, right? So if I know 8 times 8 equals 64, then I know therefore 8 squared has to be 64, right? So therefore the square root of 64 here is simply 8. So this here is one way of solving it. You can solve it by kind of logic here, knowing that this here is a perfect square. If you didn't know it was a perfect square, what we can do is we can actually take out the prime factors of 64 to solve this. So in order for us to do that, we look at 64 here. We think about numbers that can be divisible by 64. So in this case, I'm going to go with 2 first, right? Because I know it's an even number. So root 64 here, I'm going to take out a root 2 here. And then 64 divided by 2 here would be 32, right? So it would be 32 here. So I basically took out the root 2 from 64. I can do the exact same thing with this this root 32, right? I can take out another root 2 here. Take out another root 2 here. Then I have 32 divided by 2 here. This will equal 16. And then finally, we know that, and if you didn't know by now, root 16 here equals 4. But if you didn't know that, we can basically, we can do this basically 2 more times to figure this out here. Root 16, I can take another 2 here. 16 divided by 2 here is 8. And then finally, I have root 2 times root 2 times, I can finally take out the last root 2 here, and I would get root 4, right? And I know that root 4 here equals 2 times simply just 2. I know that these 2 multiplied by each other is going to equal 2, and these 2 are going to multiply by 2. So I have 2 times 2 times 2, which is simply just 4 times 2, which here equals 8. So this here is my solution if you didn't know what the square root is, but I'm pretty sure you know that the square root of 64 here equals 8. So this is a perfect square question here. So solution is correct. Good analysis here.